Well, welcome, folks, to the USDA NIFA Bioenergy, Natural Resources and Environment AFRI Foundational and Applied Sciences for fiscal year 2024. This is our RFA announcement and technical assistance webinar. So we are going to have some meeting logistics today. This webinar will be recorded because we are actually going to store it so that folks who couldn't make this webinar will be able to see it in the future. Please be sure that your microphone is muted. Also, there's a Zoom tech support number there if Zoom decides to quit on you, and look at option 2. Throughout the presentation, you may type questions in the Q&A box down below. The chat box is going to be disabled, but the Q&A box is for our questions. And then the slides and recording for this conference will be posted at the following link, and that link will be provided to you when you take a look at the recording. My name is Jim Dobrovolsky. I'm the National Program Leader for Water and Natural Resources for USDA NIFA's Environmental Systems Division and part of the Institute for Bioenergy, Climate, and Environment. And this webinar and USDA has a non-discrimination statement that is quite robust, and it's right here, and we're not going to read the whole thing to you, but take a look at it when you have an opportunity. Also, I'd like to let you know that there is an opportunity to have closed captioning text. And so right at the bottom of the screen, there's a button for CC. And if you push that, you will have text that will show up. So the topics we will cover today in the technical assistance webinar is we're going to start with a NIFA overview that'll be handled by Dr. Rachel Melnick. She's the Division Director for Climate Change, the Climate Change Division in IBCE. We will talk about the request for applications details. We're also going to discuss common application structure and evaluation process common to most of the programs. And then additional information and resources. And then finally, program overviews. And we have a special section on data management plans. And then lastly, we'll have a live Q&A for you. So first, we're going to start with the NIFA overview. So I'm going to turn it over to Rachel.
Great, thanks, Jim. As Jim already introduced me, I'm Rachel Melnick, and I'm our Division Director for our Division of Global Climate Change here at NIFA. And for those of you that may not be as familiar with NIFA, we are the USDA's National Institute of Food and Agriculture. We are one of 29 agencies and offices within the Department of Agriculture. We're a very big department, and we are the extramural science funding agency. And under that, because we have so many agencies and offices, we are grouped by mission area, and we're within the USDA's research, education, and economics mission area. What NIFA does is invest in and supports initiatives that ensure the long-term viability of agriculture, and we provide funding and strategic leadership for programs that ensure groundbreaking discoveries in agriculture-related sciences and technologies reach people who can put them in practice. And I always like to remind everyone, agriculture is farm to fork. It's much broader than just production agriculture, row crops. We, in our group, include a lot of work on forestry and rangelands. So just to kind of set our stage as we're going up. Next slide, please. So NIFA as an agency funds a wide range of topics: advanced technologies, education. We have quite a few education programs. We work in the environment, food science, food safety, nutrition. We do have international work and global engagements. We work in a wide range of systems, natural resources, and we also have a focus on human sciences that includes community vitality, family well-being, youth, rural development, a wide range of topics. For this talk, we're going to be focused on one of our areas within the AFRI Foundational, but if if you work in other spaces, please reach out to NIFA and we'll be able to connect you to the relevant national program leader and staff to answer any of your questions. Next slide, please. So this is what you really are all here, is to hear about our request for application, which we call RFA, from the AFRI Foundational Program, which is specifically what we're talking about: bioenergy, natural resources, and environment. So if you're looking at getting the RFA, the link is right here, or you can Google AFRI FAS RFA, and it normally comes up right away. Just make sure it's the 24 RFA. Occasionally people find older versions. So as we are going through and we're talking about all these programs, please make sure you look at the RFA to look at the application deadline for your specific program area priority, as they do vary by program. The anticipated funding for all of it is 300 million, but again, the different program area priorities have different funding levels and commitments to those. So please look at the RFA for that. If you're going to grants.gov, when I worked at a nonprofit, really enjoyed grants.gov and being able to get those morning updates. So if you ever want to know when an RFA comes out, feel free to get an account in grants.gov. Right there is our funding opportunity number that you can look up for grants.gov, or you can even search by names. And then also, one thing to consider, some of our programs have letters of intent and some do not. That really varies by program area. So if you're considering that would be due before the deadline for the program, just make sure you read the RFA for any program you're interested to see if that is applicable. Next slide, please. So talking about the AFRI funding opportunities, the AFRI Foundational RFA is grouped into 6 different priority areas: plant health and production and plant products, animal health and production of animal products, food safety, nutrition, and health. And then what you're here to hear about: bioenergy, natural resources, and environment. And for this year, we estimate about $33 million for all of the program area priorities within that area. We also have groupings in agricultural systems and technology and agricultural economics and rural communities. So if you're really interested in different program area priorities, feel free to look at the events page. There's a wide series of technical assistance webinars going on for all of these areas. Next slide, please. So the 2024 RFA updates. So the RFA covers the 2024 grant application review cycle. And this is actually funding from fiscal year 2025 budget. So I sometimes get questions, why is the applications due right at the end of the fiscal year? It's because we're actually using fiscal year 25 funding. So all applicants who meet eligibility requirements as a new investigator, if you want to see what those standards are, please look at Part 2C in the RFA. Will also be eligible to apply for seed grants, as well as for a new investigator standard grant. So if you're in that point where you feel that you might fit a new investigators and meet that, go ahead, look at the RFA, and then email us if you have questions about whether you really meet the requirements for a new investigator. We're happy to answer your questions. So when you're looking at our new investigator awards, this is for people who were not previously awarded federal funding. It's a way to try to help get new investigators to get some of their initial funding. So eligibility is in the RFA, but also to go ahead and make sure that you be eligible if you were not, unless you were awarded a seed grant previously. So just go ahead, and if you have questions about whether you're eligible for a new investigator seed, or a new investigator standard grant, just feel free to reach out to the NPL listed in the program area priority. And we are a very friendly agency and happy to help you. If you are interested in a conference grant or a workshop proposal, as some people call them, we get a lot of requests for these and a lot of interest in this. I do want everyone to know that for conference grant applications, we accept these year-round. What happens and how we start this process is we have you request that you submit a letter of intent for the program area priority that you think is best aligned with your conferences. This must be done at least 195 days before the start of the conference. And then what will happen is NIFA will review your letter of intent and determine whether it is a fit to program and encourage or discourage you from putting a full application in. And those must be submitted 150 days before the start of the conference, and they're peer reviewed, which is why we do need some time to make sure we get that reviewed, can make a decision, and then work through to get the money to you before the start of the conference. So this is why we have those timelines in place. Next slide, please. And at that, I will turn it over back to Jim to go ahead and provide the rest of the webinar.
Thank you very much, Rachel. I appreciate it. And now we're going to talk a little bit about the application structure and the evaluation process common to most programs. First, let's talk about eligibility. Eligible applicants for integrated projects include colleges and universities, 1994 land-grant institutions, and Hispanic serving agricultural colleges and universities. So if you're looking at the RFA and you're looking to apply for an integrated project, please understand that the eligibility is quite restricted. When we talk about the eligible applications for research-only projects, it expands quite a bit. Research only includes colleges or universities, including junior colleges offering associate degrees or higher, state agricultural experiment stations, national laboratories, federal agencies, private organizations or corporations, other research institutions or foundations, and individuals who are U.S. citizens, nationals, or permanent residents. Also, we provide funding for consortiums of 2 or more eligible entities. All right, let's talk a little bit about the key documents that are necessary for your application. First, of course, you've got to have a program summary or abstract, and be sure to use the grants.gov format when you're formatting your abstract when you send in your application. There's also the project narrative, and we'll talk a little bit about the restrictions to the length of the project narrative in a minute. Also, the bibliography and reference list must be in there. And also, we have required data management plans since a few years back. And there are other documents, and you can see those in the RFA or in the NIFA grants application guide. And Wendy Flatt, who's our program specialist supporting this webinar, is going to download some links to these various items that I'm going to talk about in the slides into the chat so that you can pluck those links out and use them. Okay, if we continue with key documents, for standard new investigator standard, coordinated agricultural projects or CAP projects, conference, strengthening standard, strengthening CAP, and strengthening conference grant applications, the project narrative section may not exceed a total of 18 pages using 12-point font with single line spacing. For sabbatical, equipment, and seed grants, both strengthening or new investigator, and the rapid response program grant applications, the project narrative section may not exceed a total of 7 pages using 12-point font with single line spacing. So make sure that you don't go over 18 pages when you're looking at the standard grants in that first bullet, because grants.gov will kick your application out. So applications exceeding the page limit will be returned without review. Okay, within the 18 pages of the narrative, describe the list of headings for information required in the narrative. Describe the impact on research, training, infrastructure, or extension to achieve its goals. The cooperation or institutional involvement in the potential application, and provide a project timeline. When we talk about application submission, remember that NIFA only accepts electronic submission of applications. There is a very lengthy and informative grants application guide located at this link. And again, we're going to drop that into the chat for you. And then application documents must be in portable document format. They must be PDFs. We will not accept parts of the documents in Word format. It's all got to be in PDF. And so, grants.gov may allow other formats, but NIFA does not. And don't use third-party PDF builders. And this is the front page of the grants application guide. So let's briefly talk about the evaluation process, because proposals are assigned for review to at least 3 reviewers with expertise in the proposed topic. Reviewers will produce individual reviews of each proposal, evaluating the strengths and weaknesses. These written reviews are used to begin panel discussions with other reviewers serving on the peer review panel. And then through these discussions, peer review panelists come to consensus on the final rating and the ranking of proposals. And the timeline of competitive programs, well, during the first 1 to 3 months, the request for applications is released, and you spend time responding to that RFA by application writing and planning. And of course, the application is due, and a lot of them are due this coming September. And then in the next 2 to 3 months, the application goes under peer review. And we do provide, once we conclude the peer review, we do provide application funding notifications. And then in the 1 to 2 months beyond that, awards are finalized and made. And on the average, a competitive program takes about 3 to 5 months from the application due date to an award being made to an institution. We will keep you updated as much as possible, and we appreciate your patience. Okay, now we're going to talk a little bit about some additional important information. And again, these are things that are focused on helping you to maximize your ability to write a very well-written application. So if you want to take a look to find what we have funded in the past, you can use the NIFA reporting portal and the RIAS application. So take a look at that for competitive projects, competitively funded projects. And take a look at our upcoming events. So we have NIFA events calendar for upcoming deadlines, meetings, and webinars at this link, nifa.usda.gov/events. And of course, we're going to drop that link into the chat for you. And then there are some upcoming requests for applications that are going to be released in the future. And so take a look at that release calendar, nifausda.gov/upcoming RFA calendar. Those are going to be very helpful. Other grant resources include the funding opportunities page on our website, the competitive grants flowchart page, the NIFA training resources, the NIFA policy guide, indirect costs and how to deal with those, and a guide for preparation and submission of NIFA applications via grants.gov. All of those are available on our website, and we've dropped those links into the chat for you. Programs covered in today's presentation. We're going to talk about the soil health program. That's A14001. And remember that these are part of the Agricultural Food Research Initiative. And that's AFRI. That's our flagship funding line. Soil health, A1401, then water quantity and quality, A1411. Also sustainable bioeconomy through bio-based products, A1414. The sustain. I don't understand why.
I can hear you now. You're good.
Okay,
I think
good.
your microphone was just being fussy.
Oh, that was weird. Okay. So anyway, back to it. Where did I stop, Rachel?
1451.
Okay. So the next one is environmental justice, A1461. And then we are going to talk about one cross-cutting program, the Critical Agriculture Research and Extension, or CARE program, A1701. Then we have a special section on data management plans that's coming up. So now we're going to talk about the program overviews, and I'm going to turn it over to Wendy Flatt, our program specialist, and I will stop sharing my screen.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sandeep Kumar, National Program Leader of Soil Health Program with the National Institute of Food and Agriculture. I'm discussing today's Soil Health Program A1401, which is part of the Agriculture and Food Research Initiative Foundational and Applied Science Program request for applications for the fiscal year 2024. I will provide the overview for the Soil Health Program in next few slides. The purpose and priorities of this program are listed in RFA page number 54. The goal of this program priority is to support research projects that will contribute to foundational and applied research to advance scientific understanding of soil physical and biogeochemical processes and interactions, and assessment and development and adoption of models, decision support tools, and new climate smart conservation practices that will lead to improving or maintaining soil health and productivity while maintaining or improving environmental health in a changing climate and sustainability of our natural resource base. The application may address one or more of the following, which evaluate the effects of management practices on soil microbial community function and their contribution to healthy soils, carbon sequestration, mitigating greenhouse gas emissions, and or sustainable climate resilient agroecosystems, and assessment and or development of innovative approaches, tools, and technologies that enhance the understanding and or management of the physical and biogeochemical processes that contribute to soil health. Please refer to page number 54. Project and grant types of this program: we accept only research component for this program, and grant types, there's applications can be submitted as a standard, strengthening, collaborators, and the conferences. I'll discuss the application details and the documents. The request for application is available online at this website mentioned here. The deadline of application is Thursday, September 12th, 2024, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And applications can be submitted through the grants.gov. Total funding in fiscal year 2024 available for this program is approximately $8 million, which might change. And program code for this program is A1401. Maximum funding per award is $750,000 for standard grants, strengthening standard grants, and new investigator standard grant, and $900,000 with specific partnership, and $300,000 for all the seed grants. Please refer to the eligibility for the request for application document, page number 55. Key documents that we request from every individual while submitting in this program, these are the four documents: project summary and abstract, project narrative, bibliography, reference list. Another document, please see the RFA and NEFA grant application guide. And also this is mentioned in page number 120 of the RFA. So 3 individuals are responsible for this program. We are managing this soil health program. Myself, I'm serving as national program leader within the Institute of Bioenergy, Climate and Environment. Dr. Jomi Jamora is also national program leader within the Institute of Bioenergy, Climate and Environment. And Nicole Boxdale, she's the program specialist within the same institute. Our phone numbers and email addresses are provided here. Please contact us for any question related to this program. Thank you very much.
Good morning. My name is Jim Dobrovolsky. I am the National Program Leader for Water and Natural Resources in the Environmental Systems Division of the Institute for Bioenergy, Climate, and Environment. And we are going to talk about the Water Quantity and Quality Program, or Water Q&Q, A1411. The staff of the Water Quantity and Quality Program is made up of myself and Christella Sanders, Program Specialist. To begin with, I'd like to provide you with an overview of the program. And we need to first begin to discuss the purpose and priorities, the why. The U.S. is committed to the proper management of agricultural practices and improved efficiency of agricultural water uses to protect water quality and increase water and food security and improve the resilience of agricultural and forest ecosystems to climate change. Now, USDA NIFA will provide competitive support to improve water science, management and technologies, water conservation and water use efficiency, promote common data exchange formats and access to data for decision making, improve forecasting and modeling of water-related systems, and promote technology adoption and behavior change by producers, land managers, and decision makers. Now, how about the how? Practically, USDA NIFA seeks applications to reduce the freshwater demand for both groundwater and surface water for irrigation and the nutrient demand for maximum crop production by substituting the use of other technologies, management practices, or other water resources like recycled wastewater, brackish groundwater, agricultural return flow, and produced water from industry, while at the same time retaining appropriate soil health, that is, managing salinity, providing for adequate infiltration, and the proper application and use of soil amendments such as fertilizers, manure, and biochar, and of course eliminating accelerated erosion from farm fields. We also want to protect water quality of surface and groundwater systems through improved nutrient management, improved pesticide management, and reduced nutrient pesticide pathogen and the contaminants of environmental concern that load to surface or groundwater. So the project and grant types associated with A1411, well, we have as standard grants, two project types: integrated, where you integrate your research with either extension or education, and then research only project types. And under the strengthening grant type, we have new investigator grants, seed grants, sabbatical grants, and equipment grants. We also have conference grants that are offered year-round. So what are the application details for Water Q&Q? Well, the RFA is available online at the link shown on this slide. And the application deadline for the program is Thursday, September 5th at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. That's Thursday, September 5, 2024, 5 p.m. And you must submit your proposal through grants.gov. The total funding that's available in fiscal year 2024, well, it varies, but it might be as much as $8 million. The program code you'll have to memorize, A1411. And the maximum funding per award is $650,000 for research only, $750,000 for integrated projects, and you can add an extra $150,000 if you provide a partnership. And that partnership has rules, and you need to see the AFRI Foundational Applied Sciences Request for Applications Part 2E to find the details about the partnerships. But if you add that 150,000, it increases your budget to 800,000 for research-only projects and 900,000 for integrated projects. If you have any questions, please drop us an email or call us, and we have our contact information on this slide. Thank you so much for your interest.
Hello and namaskar. I am Kaushlendra Tinggi, and I'm a national program leader in the Global Climate Change Division of the Institute of Bioenergy, Climate and Environment. I'm going to talk about the Sustainable Bioeconomy through Bio-Based Products program. The program code is A1414. Along with me, fellow national program leader, Dr. Victoria Finkelstead, and program specialist Rocio Gutierrez manage this program. The A1414 program focuses on enabling the bioeconomy through the development of biomass systems, and these systems can focus on production of bio-based products or biomass generated power. But they should do it in a manner which reduces adverse impacts to the environment. The development of bio-based products and bioeconomy should promote human health, economic prosperity, energy security, ecosystem resources, and mitigation of climate change. The development of bio-based products can improve the profitability, productivity, and circularity of existing agricultural production systems and industrialized processes. It can be done through new opportunities or through development of co-products from unused waste streams. For fiscal year 2024, your project proposal should address one or more of the following priorities. These priorities are set for this program specifically. The first priority aims at new and/or improved strategies to develop bio-based products. Strategies that would improve product functionality, increase potential revenues, and/or reduce cost over incumbent products. This also includes addressing supply chain challenges. The second priority is to develop strategies and approaches for scalable biomass systems that provide beneficial ecosystem services. Some examples of ecosystem services are carbon sequestration, improved water availability and quality, improved life cycle emissions, nutrient use reduction, or wildlife and pollinator habitat enhancements. And the last priority is to develop strategies to alleviate technical and economic barriers that improve consumer attitudes towards the bioeconomy and that strengthen the rural economy through new employment opportunities. Please note that this program does not entertain proposals on bioproducts that are related to food or feed application. Under this program, you can submit an integrated proposal such as research plus extension or research plus education or research plus extension plus education. You can submit a proposal for a strengthening grant, new investigator grant, standard grant, conference grant, or equipment grant, and collaborative grant. For collaborative applications, NIFA is partnering with Ireland and Northern Ireland under the US-Ireland Research and Development Partnership. And a little bit about the deadline. The applications for this program are due on September 5, 2024, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. The program code is A1414 again, and the maximum funding per award will be $1 million. So if you have any questions or you need further clarification on the program code A1414, which is Sustainable Bioeconomy through Bio-Based Products, please contact our team. Our team members are myself, Dr. Kaushlendra Tinggi, Dr. Victoria Finkestad, and Program Specialist Rocio Gutierrez. Thank you very much and have a great day. Hello and namaskar once again. My name is Kaushlendra Tinggi and I'm a national program leader in the Global Climate Change Division. Now I'm going to talk about the Sustainable Agroecosystems Program. Program code is A1451. My fellow national program leaders, Adam Wilkie and Zami Zamora, are also points of contact for this program. Our colleague, Wendy Platt, is the program specialist for this program. Under the 1451 program, we welcome research projects that improve health, productivity, and output of ecosystem services in managed production systems. The managed production systems can be croplands, forests, rangelands, and specialty crop systems. These systems can be at a regional scale or at national scale. Now, various stresses affect these systems, including climate change, pests, pathogens, invasive plants, and other environmental pressures. These stresses not only affect the health of these ecosystems, but they also impact the output of ecosystem services and products. Therefore, for FY24, we have set following priorities. Your research proposal should enable the development and evaluation of innovative management practices while enhancing ecosystem services by addressing one of the following two priorities. The first priority is for this program is to develop new approaches that significantly increase ecosystem health and resilience, particularly in response to climate change, along with the output or value of more than one ecosystem service, each compared with the current management system for the region. The second priority is to improve connection of ecosystem health to manage systems productivity, functionality, socioeconomic viability, biodiversity, sustainability, and or resilience. The most important piece of the information here is that this program invites only research projects, no education, no extension, no integrated, just research projects. This program welcomes proposals for a standard grant, for strengthening standard grant, for new investigator grant, for conference grant, and for equipment grant. The deadline for applications is September 12, 2024, 5 p.m. Eastern. Again, the program code is A1451, and the maximum funding per award is set at $750,000 for standard grant and $900,000 for collaborative partnership proposals. So if you have questions regarding the A1451 Sustainable Agroecosystems program, please feel free to contact one of us listed here. Thank you and have a great day.
Greetings. My name is Adam Wilkie, and I am a National Program Leader in the Institute of Bioenergy, Climate, and the Environment in the Division of Global Climate Change at the National Institute for Food and Agriculture. I provide leadership for the Environmental Justice Program Code A1461 within the AFRI portfolio, along with my colleagues, Dr. Justin Peppers, Program Specialist, and Dr. Corinthia Cherry, National Program Leader in the Institute of Youth, Family, and Community, Division of Nutrition. This brief recording will outline the purpose, priorities, eligibility, grant type, and other application details for AFRI Program 1461. The purpose and priorities of the Environmental Justice Program area are to and include advance understanding of environmental and climate justice impact metrics that may be translated across geographic regions as well as food and agricultural systems. To increase understanding of community-level climate resilience and thresholds. For this program area, research topics may include, but are not limited to, externalities of food and agricultural production, human health and safety, built environments, food loss and waste, culturally and contextually relevant climate adaptation, and subsistence practices and livelihoods. The Environmental Justice Program Area Priority will fund one project that focuses on advancing youth voice in environmental justice in relation to nutrition security and human health. Youth must lead research efforts and/or extension activities, and applicants must demonstrate the power of youth as agents of change, entrepreneurs, and innovators. Questions about this specific portion of the program area priority should be directed to Dr. Corinthia Cherry. Applications to the Environmental Justice Program are required to meaningfully incorporate participation of communities with environmental justice concerns throughout all stages of project development and execution. Projects may involve incorporating use of traditional knowledge, such as traditional ecological knowledge and indigenous traditional knowledge. Projects may utilize methods such as participatory research and extension, co-production, and transdisciplinary approaches. The eligibility for this integrated project includes colleges and universities, 1994 land-grant institutions, and Hispanic serving agricultural colleges and universities. The project and grant type funded by 1461 is only integrated, which includes research and extension components. 1461 will not fund research only or extension only projects. Funded grant types include standard, strengthening standard, new investigator, and conference grants. Application details are available in the Agriculture and Food Research Initiative Foundational and Applied Sciences request for applications available at the URL on the screen. Please also visit the 1461 program page at the URL on the screen. Application deadline is 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Friday, September 12th, 2024. Applications are submitted directly to grants.gov by your university before 5 p.m. on September 12th. Program code, as mentioned previously, is A1461, and the maximum funding per award anticipated in this funding cycle is $1 million. For questions, please reach out directly to the program contacts listed below. We look forward to hearing from you and appreciate your interest in AFRI program environmental justice and look forward to your applications. Thank you.
Hello again. Jim Dobrovolsky here, National Program Leader for Water and Natural Resources in the Environmental Systems Division of the Institute for Bioenergy, Climate, and Environment. And I am going to talk about the Critical Agriculture Research and Extension, or CARE program, a cross-cutting program across AFRI. It is A1701. The CARE staff consists of 2 national program leaders that co-lead the program, myself and Dr. Vijay Nandula from the Institute of Food Production and Sustainability, and Sierra Caceres, who is our program specialist also from the Institute of Food Production and Sustainability. And I'm going to begin with a program overview to the CARE program, remembering that CARE was established originally by our former director, Dr. Sunny Ramaswamy, and is focused on projects that have already completed most of their research and are ready to be transferred or delivered to their stakeholders. So the why? Well, this program area addresses critical challenges and opportunities that research and extension together can address to improve our nation's agricultural and food systems. Despite prior investments in basic and applied research, critical problems continue to impede the efficient production of agriculturally important plants and animals for producing safe and nutritious foods and to meet environmental challenges for agriculture. These problems may be local, regional, or national, and may call for work focused on one or more scientific disciplines. However, all need immediate attention to meet producer and consumer needs. Finding and implementing solutions to these critical problems requires partnership and close coordination among researchers, extension experts, and practitioners in food and agricultural enterprises. The how. Funded projects are expected to produce results that lead to practices, tools, and technologies that are rapidly adopted by end users. Projects based on indigenous traditional ecological knowledge are appropriate for this program area priority. This program area priority is designed to support integrated activities based on rigorous research combined with effective extension and involvement of stakeholders to develop and rapidly apply new knowledge or practices, resulting in improved well-being of the people, communities, plants, and animals involved in and affected by agriculture and food production systems. The projects should focus on a clear, time-sensitive, stakeholder-identified need or problem for agriculture. They should explain the magnitude of the problem and the rationale for targeting it, describe a meaningful approach for blending research and extension expertise and other outreach and implementation approaches throughout the project to address principal objectives. The project should provide evidence that it is aligned to the why and how listed in the previous slides. You should state expected solutions or improvements and how these will be assessed and measured, and address the potential cost of proposed solutions and describe how it could be scaled to be sustainable in the short term and long term, and explain how the project will strengthen agricultural and food production systems and how results will be adopted or applied at a local, regional, or national level. So what type of project and grant types are available for CARE? Well, the grant types are either standard or strengthening. The standard grants, the only standard grants that are available are integrated, and it's only integrated across research and extension. As far as strengthening goes, there are strengthening standard grant types and also new investigator project types. So please see the RFA for the details, and the page is in the yellow box above. The application details include that the RFA is available online at this link that is on this slide, And the application deadline for CARE is Thursday, September 12, 2024 at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And you must submit the proposal through grants.gov. The total funding available in fiscal year 2024, about $5 million. The program code, remember, is A1701, and the maximum funding per award is $300,000. If you have additional questions, please feel free to send us an email or give us a call. Our contact information is on this slide, and thank you so much for your interest.
Hi, in this short presentation, we're going to talk about data management planning and the expectations NIFA has for the data management plans you will prepare for your proposals. To start with some of the reality, we know that sharing data speeds up the advancement of science, but the reality is that there's only a small percentage of the published work that includes shared data, even if it's promised in data management plans. And there's some really great literature that's emerging, highlighting this, as well as some really good recommendations for how to properly share data from projects. So let's first start with the NIFA perspectives of data management. We expect data management plans to be submitted for all research, education, and extension projects. This isn't just limited to research. These plans are limited to 2 pages, and we expect that only 1 data management plan is submitted per project, and that would be from the primary institution, the host institution. These plans should clearly articulate how the project director and associated co-project directors plan to manage and disseminate data that's generated by the project, and there are 5 components that need to be included. The first being the expected data type, things such as a description of the digital or non-digital components, how is that data being generated, and is it considered primary data or metadata? And we have some examples here on this slide for some of the things that are typically included as part of research data, extension data, or education data. The second element is the data format, and the goal for this should be to make the data readily accessible and usable to the broader community. So we expect that people use community recognized standards, and that in the plan you clearly indicate the formats that will be used. And we also expect that there's enough information to allow independent use of the data. The third element is data storage and preservation. We expect a description of this, and we expect that project directors make sure that the environment is safe, allowing for long-term preservation of data. We want to see what the plans are for preserving data during and after the project. We want you to identify which specific data repositories you plan on using. And we want to see contingency plans. How are you going to avoid data loss, degradation, or damage? The fourth element, we asked you to share how you plan to share your data with adequate protections and public access. So describe what your sharing procedures are, include a statement of the plans to protect confidentiality, personal privacy, proprietary interests, and intellectual property rights, and also clearly outline restrictions that exist due to copyright, confidentiality, appropriate credit disclaimers, or conditions for use. And the fifth element is an articulation of the roles and responsibilities. Who is responsible for the data management plan implementation? What is your contingency plan if there are personnel changes? And what resources are needed to develop and implement the data management plan? And that could also include financial elements. So implementation expectations and monitoring, we expect that data management updates are included in funded project reports, final reports, as well as annual reports. We want to see what the progress is and also any challenges that are encountered. I will articulate that many programs or priority areas are currently in the process of developing their best practices for monitoring this. And we recognize fully that data management plans can evolve. This is a rapidly evolving landscape, and we expect that your plans will accordingly evolve. A couple of resources I wanted to leave you with is the Agricultural Data Commons. If you scan this URL or scan the QR code, you'll find some really good examples of data repositories with great metadata that could hopefully serve as a model. And also, here's an additional resource from the data management plan tool planning that's hosted by the California Digital Library, another great resource. Finally, just want to encourage you to, if you have questions about this, contact the national program leader associated with the program you plan on applying to, as well as check out the QR code on the slide for NIFA resources on data management plans.
Okay, thanks very much.
So just a reminder to everyone, if anyone would like to put a question, we are going to ask you to put it in the Q&A box. And as people are thinking about submitting more questions, there's some very quick and easy ones I can take here at the beginning. One is, how strict are timelines for conference proposals? We say 195 days in the RFA. Can someone submit a LOI for a conference proposal 70 to 90 days before the conference? I'll turn that over to Jim since he is our conference proposal leader.
Okay, so we really want you to try and follow those recommended dates. It really needs to be as soon as possible when you decide that you want to apply for our funding, because
so the RFA is the deadline in the RFA. We have, so there's the letter of intent, and then we review that. And then after that, then we ask you to submit a full proposal, and then that gets reviewed at 70 days before the conference. That timeline is too tight for us in order to get that to you. So the timeline that's in the RFA is in there so that we make sure we have enough time to get through the process to get funding to you prior to the conference. So we are pretty strict with that. The next question we have, that's a pretty easy one, is there a way to see or know the breakdown or breakup of the 33 million assigned for BENRI programs? As we've been presenting in the different program area priorities, several of those presented what is estimated to be. We cannot show you the breakdown right now because this is using fiscal year 25 funding, and we have not received appropriations for fiscal year 25 yet. So everything is estimated based upon receipt of appropriations. Okay, I have another question. Maybe Jomi would like to take this one. Is can we please address matching requirement in particular? How do you define a commodity related to forest? For example, if the project is based on forest health, are forests considered a commodity that would require matching to an AFRI program? So I will go ahead, since Jomi's not able to pick up his microphone. Forests are not a commodity. It's forests are a breadth of trees. Also, if you look at the language for that matching requirement, it's looking at a broader thing. So we would not typically consider forest as a whole to be a commodity for that matching requirement.
thanks, Rachel.
Next question, can someone please talk about specific partnerships for the partnership program at a higher level? The partnership proposal types is what I'm assuming the question is about.
You blanked out just when you said who you wanted that assigned to.
So we're all having issues. So can anyone please talk a bit about the partnership proposals at a higher level? Provide a little more detail about those.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and take that one. So partnerships were developed a few years back, and you have to look at the RFA because not all programs allow partnerships, but the partnerships have specific eligibility. And primarily they are focused at what we call capacity-based institutions, which are institutions like 1890 land-grant institutions or 1994 land-grant institutions, Hispanic serving institutions, small to medium institutions, or those institutions that are in EPSCoR states. So EPSCoR meaning that they don't receive a tremendous amount of federal funding. And so you have to look at our list on the website to see if you are or one of your partners that you want to bring into the project is an EPSCoR state. Now, the key is if you at your institution are one of these these capacity-based institutions, then you can select just about any other institution as your partner. But you have to check with the eligibility requirements and be sure that you are eligible to not only have a partnership, but your partner meets the criteria. And it adds about $150,000 to your partner, and it has to be directed at the partner. Thanks very much.
Okay, we have another question that anyone who's within is for you to answer. How are supporting documents considered during the panel review? Is there a trade-off between the number of quality letters from producers or partners? Have you seen reviewers focusing on letters of support during the review process? Can you provide some more details about letters of support and how they're involved in the review process?
I can take that. So literally the letter of support or letter of collaboration should clearly articulate what kind of activities, what kind of in-kind or task support the person is providing. Just putting a letter which says, okay, I happily support this project wouldn't help. So it should have substance, and if it has substance, the reviewers carefully look at it, and you will find that in your panel summary also. Thank you.
So I can add a little bit to that too, Rachel. The reviewers, if you mention in your narrative that you're going to be working with someone or some institution or a laboratory or what have you, and there is no letter of support from those folks, they're going to criticize you about it. It's going to be an issue with them. And so you want to make sure that if you are going to talk about folks that are going to be partnering with you in your application, that they do have a letter of support to go with it, and make sure that that letter of support doesn't go to the national program leader or to the program specialist directly. It has to come with the application in grants.gov.
Thank you. I think that was a great way. We have another question related to resubmission. So if you are resubmitting or submitting a proposal from last year, you want it looking at resubmitting it this year, what would be the best advice? Would you recommend submitting it as a resubmission or as a new submission? And when you consider if you submit it as a resubmission, how is it reviewed? Is it reviewed differently than a new submission? And are there any specific guidelines for the resubmission cover letter? Or any key takeaways that you can provide on your experience about whether panels see resubmissions versus new submissions differently, or are they reviewed differently?
I can provide some feedback on that. So if you are resubmitting a proposal, then we strongly encourage you to submit as a resubmission. In doing so, you have one extra page in your narrative where you can clearly either rebut or respond to the previous review comments. And that gives additional advantage. You have that opportunity to express yourself. Submitting as a new submission, we personally discourage. It's not going to help much.
I think that's a great answer. We have another question about timeline, in particular for projects relating to fieldwork. Can we provide more specifics about the timeline from submission to proposal to potential award? The questioner says it sounds like 3 to 5 months after submission to award, but they want to know, is that till we're notified until the money expected? Mainly the question is, when you're looking at building your budgets and projects, when would we be able to potentially expect funds so they would know what year they could start field work, in year 1 or in year 2?
Yeah, I can handle that one. That's a tough call, actually, because number one, this last year is a good example. We had to wait for Congress to actually deliver the budget to USDA NIFA. And until we get a budget, we actually can't put out the awards. And so we had to wait several months, beyond which we were all ready to go. We had the awards selected through the panel, but we were waiting for Congress to actually deliver the money. So it does vary from one year to the next. And that's just the way the U.S. government functions at this point. But we do have the ability, once you get your money, if you needed to actually spend funds toward your field work or what have you, buying some supplies or whatever, we give you up to 90 days before you actually receive the award to fund activities towards your project. So you've got that 90-day window before you actually get your award. And if you want to know what the timing of that is for a particular year, give us a call or send us an email and we can help you with that.
Great, I think that's great. So we have another question, and it kind of goes back to the previous question, because it depends on receipt of federal funds for fiscal year 25. Is there a number can we provide a number of how many projects will be funded in the different programs? I'm happy to take that. I'm the division director that oversees the BENRI budget, and that is dependent upon receipt of fiscal year 25 funds. Once we know how much funding we will receive, then we actually go through and determine and estimate how many proposals we are able to fund in the different program area priorities. So since we don't have receipt of fiscal year 25 funds, because we're still in 24, we aren't able to provide an estimate on the specific numbers of projects in each different program area priority at this time. Okay, so we have another question about partnerships. So would you recommend, or can you provide some insight on whether a partnership could be good if it's 2 different institutions from the same EPSCoR state? So do you think it would be more competitive, or is there some advantage, or do you think it would be, how would it be received in the review process if there were 2 different institutions from the same EPSCoR state that worked together to put a proposal together?
Okay, I can take that one as well, since I started the discussion on partnerships. It really is going to depend on the individual program, I think. Partnerships are the reason that we have this $150,000 is to try and promote partnerships so that we can provide that linkage between one institution and another. And I don't think it's going to matter all that much whether you have the partnership within the state. So let's say you're from an 1862 land grant institution and you're partnering with the 1890 institution that is within the same state. I think that would be, a good thing. It doesn't necessarily increase your ability to garner an award. It increases the amount of money when you do get an award. But, we're really looking at the best science, the best extension, and the best education. The partnership is a great way to augment your project budget, but it doesn't really influence the review at all. How's
Great.
that?
I think that's good. I apologize. Dr. Zamora is having some computer issues, so he had to step out. But we have one more question that is for 1451, and Dr. Tingey's here, so he's able to answer that one as well. For sustainable agro-ecosystems, we hope to measure unmanaged forest to gain the knowledge we need to do better management in managed forest. As written, it is not clear if looking at unmanaged forests would qualify as fit to program for the A1451 program area. In some places, there is an ecosystems focus, and other places it is a production focus. Can you provide some insight, Dr. Tingey?
Sure. Since it is a idea-specific question, I encourage whoever proposed this question to set up a meeting with us, 3 of us, and we'll discuss your idea and let you know. We need more information before we can say yes or no, whether it fits or not. So please send an email to us, myself, Adam, and Zami, and we'll set up a virtual meeting with you, and we'll discuss it further there. Thank you.
And at that, we have no more questions left in the Q&A box.
Okay, so at this point, we're going to wind this webinar up. And so thank you so much for your attendance and your interest. And we will close now and have a great rest of your day. Thank you very much.